Good morning, students. Today, as I told yesterday, today we are going to study about the respiratory system. This is a new chapter for BSc 1 nursing students. Health 2, that is DHI 2 students. Then lab technology second year students, DMLT 2 students. So all these students of different courses should remember that there is a chapter called as respiratory system, wherein the respiration occurs. So today we are going to study about this system and the organs involved in this system. Uchvasa ಮತ್ತು ಶ್ವಾಸ ಇವೆರಡೂ ಸಹ ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಯುಳ್ಳ ಒಂದು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಅಂಗವಾಗಿದೆ. That is called a respiratory system. So there is a different system for this, wherein different organs are involved and a gaseous exchange takes place. Oxygen is must for the life. So each cell needs oxygen for its energy release. It's working. And this oxygen from the air is taken inside the body of the human being, and it will be absorbed by the cells, and the blood takes this oxygen to different parts of the body. So this is all about the respiratory system, wherein the oxygen is trapped from the atmosphere and it is supplied to the different parts of the body. So this is the introduction. It is a vital process of living organisms which involve exchange of gases between lungs and external environment. The external environment which contains the oxygen is taken up and supplied to different cells. In first phase of respiration, air is taken in the lungs, oxygen is absorbed by the blood and supplied to different tissue, and this is called inspiration. The air is taken inside. There is a specialized organs, I already told. Respiratory organs are there. So these organs, they absorb the oxygen and they supply to the blood, and this blood goes to different parts of the body. So this is called inspiration. Taking in the air is called inspiration. Taking in the air is called inspiration. In the second phase of respiration, carbon dioxide is taken in the lungs and expelled out is called expiration. So in the expiration, the carbon dioxide is taken inside the body, the blood, and then it will be expelled through the lungs. So respiration includes two types, major types: external respiration and internal respiration. External respiration takes place in the lungs. The oxygen is absorbed from air into the blood, and carbon dioxide is expelled out from the blood into the air. The internal respiration takes place at the tissue level, wherein the oxygen is transferred to the blood, to the tissues, and the carbon dioxide is taken from tissues into the blood. The respiration in living organisms starts from birth till the death of the organism. In the human being, I have already told about the circulatory system, cardiovascular system, wherein the pumping of heart starts from the birth. If it stops, then the life is closed. Likewise, The respiration starts from the birth of the cell or from the birth up till the death. When the respiration stops, the death will occur. So the oxygen is must for a living being. So for that purpose, it is a vital process of all living organisms. This system is adapted to the concentration of gases in the atmosphere. So in the atmosphere, there are different types of gases, and depending on the concentration of the gases, this system is adapted. Then the major organs of respiratory provide living organisms to get oxygen into the cells and carbon dioxide out of the cell. So there are major respiratory organs which are present in the human body, which involve in the respiration. I have named them, and there are 8 different types of organs involved in the respiration or the respiratory system. The first one is nose and nasal cavity. Nose and nasal cavity. The second one is the pharynx. The third one is larynx. The fourth one is trachea, windpipe. This is called as windpipe, trachea. The fourth one is bronchus, or the trachea divides into 2 bronchi. Singular is bronchus, one is bronchus. 2 bronchi are evolved from the trachea. They are called as bronchus singular and bronchi plural. So this is one bronchus and this is one bronchus present. Then this bronchus enters the lung and divides into small branches called bronchioles. Just like a grape bunch, the lung is nothing but it is made up of the bunch of grapes. So this bronchus divides into bronchioles, different bronchioles here, and the ultimate end of the bronchiole is bulged bulb-like structure called as alveoli. Seventh one is alveoli. Alveoli are nothing but the air sacs. This is ultimate end of the respiratory tract. In the alveoli, the gaseous exchange takes place because they are thin-walled bulb-like structures. Bulb-like structures. They resemble the grapes. The bunch of grape will be like that only. These alveoli are present. So these are the alveoli wherein the gaseous exchange takes place. And the last one is the diaphragm, that is the partition wall which separates the thoracic region with the abdomen region. When this is very important. Diaphragm is a muscular wall-like structure which is present or which is involved in the respiration. When it comes down, the thoracic region is expanded, the lungs are expanded and the air is pushed inside the lungs. When it comes up, then it is crushed. The air present in the lungs is expelled out through the nose. So the air travels from the nose to the nasal cavity, then to the pharynx, then to the larynx, and then to the trachea. From trachea it goes to the lungs again, and in the lungs in the alveoli region, the gaseous exchange takes place here. The carbon dioxide is thrown in the alveoli and the oxygen is present in the air is absorbed by the blood capillaries, the wall of the blood capillaries, and this blood takes the oxygen, becomes the oxygenated blood and takes to the different parts of the body. So this is all about the respiratory system. The respiratory system involves, very important, 8 organs. All these organs you should remember. The first one is nasal, nose and nasal cavity. Nose, nostrils are there. Nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx and trachea. Trachea, bronchus, bronchiole, alveoli, diaphragm. So there is a small cap-like structure on the epiglottis. So this is a common portion for esophagus and trachea. So the food coming from the buccal cavity, this is buccal cavity. Buccal cavity, this is mouth. So mouth receives the food and food is digested here. It is thrown in the common chamber called as pharynx. So this pharynx is having one small flap-like structure called as epiglottis, which is on the trachea, and when the food enters inside, the epiglottis closes the movement, the trachea, and the movement of the food is stopped here. The food goes in the esophagus. So from esophagus it is a digestive system. Here the epiglottis plays a very important role in avoiding the food entering inside the trachea. So this is about the respiratory system, wherein nose, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchioles and alveoli are very important in the respiratory system. And last is diaphragm, which helps in respiration. The major part of the diaphragm is movement. The contraction and the relaxation of the lungs is controlled by this diaphragm only. Now, each one we have to study. The respiratory system consists of these 8 parts, and we are going to study the first part, that is the nose. So this is the nose section, wherein the different types of bones are there and cartilages are there in the bone, and the partition wall is there in the nostril. The nasal cavity is divided into 2 portions by a small partition. You can see here in the nose there is a small partition inside, and that is nothing but a cartilage. So we will see that one. Nose, it is a part of the respiratory passage and a major entrance and exit for the system. So this nose, this is the nostril or the nose, which is nothing but a major entrance and exit. The movement of the air goes through the nostrils inside, and the air is expelled out through the nostrils or the nose. So it is a major entrance and exit for the system. It has the olfactory function or smell or sense of smell also. It has an olfactory function or sense of smell. So whenever the smell comes, it absorbs that. It sends the message to the brain, and this type of smell is coming like that only. If you get the dirty smell, then you will close the nose, because you will feel that one. So it is olfactory in its function also. Nose has partly bony and partly cartilaginous skeletal framework. So this is the nose, and the skeletal framework, bone framework is present here. So both cartilage and bones are present in the nasal cavity or the nose. It has prominent ridge separating the right and the left halves called dorsum nasi. Dorsum nasi is a ridge which separates the right and the left halves. So you can feel, if you put the finger inside your nose, you can feel it here. There is a partition wall, and that is called as dorsum nasi. At the lower end of the nose, there are two openings, the right and the left nostrils and the anterior nares. These are anterior nares, right and left nostrils. They are called as nostrils or nares. The bony part is the nasal bone and the frontal bone. Nasal and the frontal bone. The nose is also guarded, or bones are also present in the nasal region. So the cartilages are superior and the inferior cartilages and septal cartilages. Superior and inferior cartilages are there, and partition wall is there. Apart from that, bones are also present in the nasal region. So this is all about the nasal region. Now the nasal cavity, second one, the nasal cavity, it is pyramidal in shape. See, this is pyramidal in shape. This is nasal cavity. Pyramidal in shape, extends from anterior nares or nostrils up to the posterior nares or posterior aperture. Here the posterior apertures will be there inside. So this cavity, nasal cavity, complete nasal cavity from here up till here, the nasal cavity is having the external nares and the internal nares. Here the internal nares will be there. Internal nares. The air passes from here. So internal nares. The nasal cavity is divided into right and left half by nasal septum. So there is a septum in between, which is formed anteriorly by septal cartilage and is flexible, can be felt by touching with fingers. You can touch the finger with the fingers and you can feel that it is a cartilage. Here, anterior side. At the anterior side of the septa, there is a cartilage. And you can feel that one by your finger. The nasal cavity is lined by mucous epithelial cells. Mucous membrane. The epithelial cells, they secrete the mucus. The nose is kept wet by this mucus, and the mucous membrane is present in that one. The mucus is very important for the protection of the antigens which enter inside through the air. When we take the air inside, the antigens or the different harmful bacteria and viruses, they enter inside and they will be trapped in the mucous membrane. So it is a protective place or the protective membrane, place wherein the antigens or the different types of viruses and bacteria are trapped. The entrance of nasal cavity, that is the anterior nares or the nostrils, contain small hairs. You can feel here. In the nose, there are hairs. ಹುಡುಗರು ನೀವು ನೋಡಿರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮೂಗಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಟ್ ಹಾಕಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಕೂದಲುಗಳು ಬರ್ತವೆ ಮೂಗಿನಲ್ಲಿ. ಈ ಕೂದಲುಗಳನ್ನು ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಕಟಿಂಗ್ ಶಾಪಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಕೂದಲುಗಳನ್ನು ಮೂಗಿನಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ಕೂದಲನ್ನು ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರ್ತವೆ ಅಂತ. ಯಾಕೆ ಕೂದಲಿದಾವೆ ಮೂಗಿನಲ್ಲಿ? ಮೂಗಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂದಲುಗಳು ಇರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ಏನು? ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ದೇವರು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಮ್ಯೂಕಸ್ ಮೆಂಬ್ರೇನ್ ಇದೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ. ಮ್ಯೂಕಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಮೂಗಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಟ್ಟಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇವು ಇರ್ತವೇನೋ, ಹೇರ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವೆ, ಕೂದಲುಗಳಿವೆ. ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೋ? ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಏರ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ Along with the air, bacteria and viruses, different types of bacteria and viruses, they also enter the nose. And they will be filtered here only in the nose. The first part of the respiratory system, that is the nasal cavity, is the blockage for the virus and bacteria. For that purpose only hairs will be there. ಕೂದಲುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಅಡ್ಡ ಬರ್ತವೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ವೈರಸ್ಗಳಾಗಲಿ ಏನೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಧೂಳಾಗಲಿ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರುವಾಗ ಕೂದಲುಗಳು ಅಡ್ಡ ಬಂದು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ. ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ವೈರಸಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. ಹುಳುಗಳು ಏನಾದರೂ ಮೂವ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡ್ತವೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಮ್ಯೂಕಸ್ ಮೆಂಬ್ರೇನ್ ಇದೆ, ಮ್ಯೂಕಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ, ಒಂಥರ ಜೆಲ್ಲಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಅದು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ. ಏರ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್. ದ ಏರ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ nasal cavity first. So the filtration starts from the nasal cavity only. For that purpose, the hairs and the mucus is present in the nasal cavity. Now, the roof of the nasal cavity is lined by nasal and ethmoid bones. So nasal bone and the ethmoid bone. So this is the nasal, this is the ethmoid bones. The roof is lined by two bones, and the floor is made up of humor and nasal crest. This is the humor bone and the nasal crest. So two bones are below and two bones are above. So these four bones are present in the nasal cavity, and this humor and the nasal crest of the maxillary and palatine bones. The nasal crest is made up of maxillary and the palatine bones. Each lateral wall of the nasal cavity has three bony projections. So these are the three bony projections present inside the nasal cavity. This is the middle one, this is the first one, this is the second, and this is the third. So three projections are there in the nasal cavity. Each lateral wall of the nasal cavity has three bony projections called nasal concave. They are called as nasal concave. Superior, middle and inferior. The inferior concave are separate bones which are superior, and middle are portions of ethmoid bone. The concave serve to increase the surface of nasal cavity. They help in the increase of the nasal cavity. These bones help in the increase of the nasal cavity, which disrupt the inhaled air and help in bouncing along the lining epithelium where it is cleaned and warmed. When the air is taken inside, the nasal cavity is enlarged. ಉಸಿರು ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ನೋಡಿ ಮೂಗು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾಕೆ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ತ್ರೀ ಕಾಂಕೇವ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಎನ್ಲಾರ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ nasal cavity. By this the air is bounced inside. ಉರುಳಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಏರ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ. Bounced inside and it is filtered inside, and it also warmed inside. ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಅದು ಹೀಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಆ ಒಳಗೆ ಬರುವಂಥ ಗಾಳಿ ಬಿಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಿಸಿ ಗಾಳಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಬಿಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಆವಾಗ ವೈರಸ್ಸು ಮತ್ತು ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸತ್ತು ಹೋಗ್ತವೆ ಮತ್ತು ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬೌನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಉರುಳಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ದೆನ್ ಫ್ಯಾರಿಂಕ್ಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಗಾಳಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ nasal cavity, wherein the three bony projections are present, and they help in the bouncing of the air, filtering of the air and warming of the air. They also conserve water and prevent dehydration of nasal epithelium. So nasal epithelial cells, they are protected by dehydration by this nasal concaves. Air enters to the pharynx via posterior nares or internal nares, which is end of the nasal cavity. So at the end of the nasal cavity there are posterior nares, and wherein the air is enters in the pharynx through these nares. Now coming to the pharynx, the third one, pharynx. Coming to the pharynx, I will draw the detailed figure. Now, this is the pharyngeal region, this is epiglottis, this is buccal cavity, nasal cavity, soft palate, this is nasopharynx, one nasopharynx, this is oropharynx, there is laryngopharynx. Third one is laryngopharynx. This is esophagus. This is trachea. This is epiglottis. Now, this portion is pharynx. This portion is pharynx, which is divided into nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. So these three parts are there in the pharynx. So the pharynx is a ciliated muscular tube. Ciliated muscular tube. Cilia are there here. Muscular tube. This is a ciliated muscular tube. So this ciliated muscular tube is called larynx, which may be 13 cm long, and upper part is wider than lower part. It is divided into three parts. The first one is nasopharynx. I have written there. The second one is oropharynx. The third one is laryngopharynx. So these parts are there. Now coming to the nasopharynx, this is the part is situated behind the nasal cavity. Behind the nasal cavity, it is present behind the nasal cavity. It resembles the nasal cavity in structure and function also. It is respiratory in function and lined by ciliated columnar epithelial cells. Ciliated columnar epithelial cells. It is respiratory in function and lined by ciliated columnar epithelial cells. The lateral walls of the nasopharynx contain openings for auditory tubes or eustachian tube. Eustachian. Eustachian tube, which connects to the middle ear. So this pharynx region is connected to the middle ear through this eustachian channel. So eustachian channel is there, and this eustachian channel opens here. So this is the eustachian channel opening of the eustachian channel. Now, during swallowing the food from the buccal cavity, the apex of soft palate moves like a pendulum, here and closes the nasopharynx. Pendulum swinging upwards to close the nasopharynx and prevent the material on entering the nasal cavity. When the food is taken inside, it is not entered in the nasal cavity. It is stopped by this flap called as soft palate. So nasopharynx is closed so that the food doesn't enter inside the nasal cavity. At the superior portion of the nasopharynx, there is a nasopharyngeal tonsils, which is the collection of lymphoid tissue. So nasopharyngeal superior portion, here in the superior portion you can see the tonsils. They are called nasopharyngeal tonsils, which are collections of lymphoid tissue. They have major pore part also. It is well developed in children and is called adenoid. It is also called adenoid in the children. It is well developed in the children, and as the child grows up, then this will be the moment of the development of the adenoid is crushed, and it will be like that only. It contains a rich supply of lymphocyte. It is covered with ciliated epithelium that traps and destroys invading pathogens entering during inhalation of the air. Invading pathogens are destroyed by these ciliated epithelial cells. Another collection of lymphoid tissue is present in the nasopharynx behind the opening of eustachian tube called tubal tonsils. Behind this tubal tonsils are present. So two types of tonsils you can see in the nasopharynx: the nasopharyngeal tonsils and the tubal tonsils. So these are very important tonsils which help in preventing the entrance of the pathogens. Now coming to the oropharynx, second one. It is a middle part of the pharynx and the passage way for both air and food. So oropharynx, here this is the oropharynx region. Passage for air and passage for food. So food also comes here, air also comes here. That is the oropharynx. Food and air also comes there. It is situated behind the oral cavity and communicated by isthmus. So it is situated behind the oral cavity. The oropharynx contains two sets of tonsils. Palatine tonsil located lateral in the wall of oropharynx and lingual tonsils located at the base of the tongue. Lingual. So base of the tongue there is lingual tonsils are there. Why I am pressing out the tonsils here? Tonsils have the ciliated epithelial cells and they have lymphoid tissue. They produce the antigens or the chemicals which destroy the pathogens coming inside the nasal cavity and in the nasal tract along with the air. When the air enters inside, the pathogens also enter inside and they will be destroyed by the